Well, hello everyone, we are from Group 5 and today we're going to presenting about ethics and environmental. In today's fast-paced business world, companies are constantly striving to stay ahead of the competition while also doing their part for the environment. But how can they achieve this delicate balance between profit and sustainability? In this video, we'll explore the importance of business ethics and environmental sustainability and how companies can successfully integrate these values into their operation. Business ethics are the moral principles that guide the company action and decision. They are essential for building trust with customers, employees, and the wider community. When business prioritizes ethics, they foster a culture of integrity, transparency, and accountability. Companies with strong ethics tend to have higher employee morale, better customer satisfaction, and increased brand loyalty. On the other hand, companies with weak ethics may face reputational damage, legal issues, and even financial losses. Environmental sustainability is crucial for the long-term survival of our planet. As businesses, we have a responsibility to reduce our ecological footprint and promote sustainable practices. This not only benefits for the environment but also has economic benefits such as cost saving and increased brand value. The process of producing good forces business to engage in exchange and interaction with two main external environments. There are the natural environment and the consumer environment. It is from the natural environment that business ultimately draw the raw material that it transforms into its finished product. These finished products are then externally promoted and sold to consumer. Thus, the natural environment provides the raw material input of business, where the consumer environment absorbs its finished product. Modern industry has brought unprecedented material prosperity, but it has also created serious environmental threats through pollution and resource depletion. The United States emits tons of air pollutant and carbon dioxide in her 2013, as well as toxic waste and staggering energy consumption. The 2015 World Situation Report highlighted that this problem stems from our economic system focused on unbridled growth, which is at odds with environmental protection. Climate change is a significant outcome that challenges humanity toward clouding with the planet's boundary. Ecosystem destruction, species loss, environmental pollution, and resource depletion are widespread. Economic growth is a major cause of environmental problems, leading to unsustainable use of resources and threatening the Earth's ecological balance. Essential pollution question and issues. The growing world population is exacerbating environmental problems, with the population expected to reach 9.7 billion by 2050. The strain on resources will increase. Pollution and resource depletion are major concerns, including pollution caused by human activities and resource depletion due to consumption. There are three types of pollution. It is air pollution, water pollution, and land pollution. Air pollution is not new. It has been with us since the Industrial Revolution introduced to the world to the Belting factory smokestack. However, the cause of air pollution increased exponentially as industrialization expanded. Today, air pollutants affect vegetation, decreasing agricultural fields, and inflicting losses on the timber industry. Next is water pollution. Water pollution has been a problem since ancient time, with modern pollutants including organic waste, salts, metals, radioactive material, bacteria, viruses, and sediment. It damages aquatic life, threatens human health, and makes water unfit for fishing or swimming. Water pollution also causes a shortage of safe drinking water. Underground water sources are increasingly contaminated due to landfills, waste spills, and surface reservoirs. Contaminants are linked to cancer and organ damage, with many affected individuals unaware due to odorless, colorless, and tasteless water. Globally, millions lack access to safe drinking water, especially in rural areas. of developing countries. And land pollution includes the formation and release of toxic substances, solid waste, and nuclear waste.
The next one are types of depletion. The first one are depletion of species and habitat. Human activity has led to the extinction of numerous plant and animal species since 16th centuries. While records indicate that 96 mammal and 88 bird species have gone extinct, scientists believe that actual number is much higher. Many other species, including whales and salmon, are currently threatened with extinction due to habitat loss and pollution. Forest habitats, on which the bulk of species depend, are also being decimated by timber industry activities such as logging. Half of the forested land area in the United States was cleared between 16th centuries and 19th centuries, and the planet's rainforests are being destroyed at a rate about 1% per year. This destruction, combined with pollution, has likely led to the extinction of many unidentified species. Ocean ecosystems are also suffering greatly from human depletion, with fish stock collapsing due to overfishing. Depletion of fossil fuel. Some early prediction of resource depletion assume that fossil fuel would continue to be depleted at exponentially rising rate. If continue, an exponentially rising rate of depletion would end with the complete and catastrophic depletion of the resource in a relatively short time. It would be estimated that world reserve of coal would be depleted in about 100 years from the time of the estimate, while estimated world reserve of oil would be exhausted in about 40 years, and estimated reserve of natural gas would only last about 25 years. Depletion of mineral. Mineral reserves follow a pattern of peaking in extraction rates before declining similarly to fossil fuel. A 2007 study project peak production timelines for essential minerals like indium, antimony, tantalum, and others. Indium is fatal for a flat screen TV and solar cell has already peaked, while antimony used in pharmaceuticals and flame retardant material is expected to be peaked in around 30 years. Similarly, tantalum, found in cell phone and camera lens, is forecasted to be peaked within 20 to 160 years. Uranium, essential for nuclear power, is projected to be peaked in 19 to 59 years, along with tin, silver, gold, zinc, and nickel, each with its own estimated peak timeline. Despite reaching their extraction peak, none of these minerals has been depleted entirely. The ethic of pollution control. For centuries, business institutions were able to ignore their impact on the natural environment, an indulgence that has a couple of causes. The first one, businesses was able to treat air and water as free goods, that is, as goods that no one owns, and that each firm can therefore use without reimbursing anyone for their use. Second, businesses have seen the environment as an unlimited good, that is, the carrying capacity of air and water is relatively large, and each firm contributes of pollution to this resource seems relatively small and insignificant. Of course, pollution problems are not rooted only in business activity. Pollution also results from the use that consumers make of the product and from human waste product. Consumer responsibility. A primary source of air pollution is automobile. Automobile use contributes significantly to air pollution, while sewage is a major source of water pollution. With the global population explosion from 1 billion in 18th centuries to 7.3 billion in 2015 and projected to reach 9.7 billion by 2050, pollution challenges have intensified. Urbanization exacerbates this issue by concentrating population and increasing pollution burden. Ecological ethics. Ecological ethics often emphasize the intrinsic value of nature, arguing that environment has inherent worth beyond its usefulness to human. It also considers the long-term consequence of human action on ecosystem, biodiversity, and the planet as one. Philosophers, environmentalists, and ethicists engage in debate with ecological ethics to develop frameworks for sustainable living, conservation efforts, and environmental policy making. This field seeks to inform decision-making process at individual, societal, and governmental level to promote responsible stewardship of the earth. There are several varieties of ecological ethics, some more radical and far-reaching than others. Perhaps the most popular version claims that in addition to human beings, other animals have intrinsic value and are deserving of our respect and protection. Some utilitarians, such as Peter Singer, for example, have claimed that pain is an evil, whether it is inflicted on human or on member of other animal species. In fact, Singer argues the pain experienced by an animal is as great as an evil comparable pain experienced by human being. Environmental right and absolute ban. In an influential article, William T. Blackstone argued that the possession of a livable environment is not merely a desirable state of affairs, but something to which each human being has a right. This is the article which William T. Blackstone argued. From those arguments, there are some questions that arise from it, such as, is there a right to a clean environment? If we return to Blackstone's claim that we have a right to a clean environment, we can see that the basis of this right is the more basic right to live a human life. That is, a right to fulfill our capacity as free and rational person. This reasoning suggests that the right to a clean environment is a right to an environment that is clean enough to allow all of us to live a full human life. There is an environment in which pollution does not prevent us from living healthy and fulfilled life. Markets and partial control. Ecological ethics often view environmental problem as market defect. When companies pollute, they don't pay for the full cost for their action, leading to misallocation of resource and harm to society. Economists distinguish between what it costs a company to make a product and what it costs society as a whole, which include external costs like pollution. Pollution always imposes external costs because the polluters don't pay for the harm they cause. This creates three ethical issues. The first one are overproduction. More commodity is produced than society would demand if it knew the true cost and wasting resources. The second one are lack of incentive. Companies don't try to reduce pollution because they don't have to pay for its full cost. The third one are inequality. Pollution creates unfair cost for those affected and violating principle of justice and fairness.
Next is remedies and justice. For some, pollution can be a financial boon. Companies that pollute avoid paying for the environmental cleanup and health problems their action cause. This translates to higher profits for shareholders, the wealthy people who own stock in the company. Customers also benefit in the short term. Since the company isn't paying for the full cost of production, the products are often cheaper. Pollution acts like a hidden tax, one that unfairly targets the poor. Wealthy people can afford to avoid the worst impact, while the poor are left to suffer the health consequences. The cycle widens the gap between the rich and the poor, making society more unequal. Next is cost and benefits of remedies. Ever wondered how we clean dirty water? It's like taking a bath. Plastic filters and settling take out a good chunk of yucky stuff, just like a quick rinse. But for a sparkling clean, we need more advanced methods, like using special shampoos. This costs more, but they get the job done. The same goes for cleaning the air we breathe. We have different tools, from butterfuls to giant air filters. Some are simple, some are fancy, and all cost money. The tricky part is knowing exactly how much cleaning helps. It's like measuring how much happier you feel after a bath. It's hard to put a number on feeling good, even if the benefits are fuzzy. Cleaning our air and water is important, and we can always predict the problems dirty air and water. Social ecology, ecofeminism, and the demands of caring. Social ecology seeks to get rid of social systems of hierarchy and domination. Ecofeminism seeks to change the male pattern of dominating nature and women. Some feminists say that we should extend the ethics of care towards nature. The ethics of conserving resources. Conservation looks primarily to the future, to the need to limit consumption now to have resources available for tomorrow. Conservation is the only way of ensuring a supply for tomorrow's generation. Resource depletion forced too many kinds of questions on us. Why should we conserve resources for future generation? How much should we conserve? Okay, so next is the rights of future generations. So the future generations do not know exist and may never exist. If future generations have rights, then the present must be sacrificed for the future, because we don't know what interest future generations will have, and we cannot say what rights they have. Next is justice for future generations. We are obligated to do what we can to ensure that we leave the next generations a world that is no worse than the one we received from the generations previous to ours. It is the view that we must deal with the environment, society, and economy so that they have the capacity to continue to meet the needs of present generations without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs.
Now we move to economic growth and environmental ethics. So several environmentalists have argued that if we are to preserve enough of our limited non-renewable and non-substitutable resources so that future generations can maintain their quality of life at a level similar to ours, we shall have to change our economies substantially, particularly by scaling down our pursuit of economic growth. Now move to the case study, Freeport tailing waste damages environment and destroys lives. So PT Freeport tailing spread widely and caused sedimentation all the way to West Mimika, and the waste left over from PT Freeport decades of mining activities has been carried through Mimika's rivers and even into the sea, causing siltation of river estuaries, both those within the Freeport areas and those outside. At least, communities in the three districts in Mimika Regency, namely for East Mimika, Chita, and Nagimuya, have felt the impact. This had made fishing boats unable to move, and many life difficulties have to be faced by the community. A clean water crisis also occurred in many villages in the region, and people have to travel by sea, and the cost of fuel, which used to be 40 liters from the port to the village of Otakwa and Omoga and the surrounding area, now requires 90 liters because they are at sea for almost 3 to 4 hours. Now we arrive at the conclusions, and in conclusion, ethics and the environment have very close relationship. Environmental ethics emphasize the intrinsic value of nature and our moral obligation to protect it. This perspective encourages a holistic approaches to decision making, recognizing the far-reaching consequences of our action, and the integration of ethics and the environment is essential for creating a sustainable and just future. By prioritizing human and environmental well-being, we can foster a culture of responsibility and cooperation to address pressing environmental challenges. So that's all from our presentation. Thank you for listening and watching, and have a nice day all.